Hi everyone, Carmen here. Thank you for tuning in once again. Today I'm going to talk about pull-ups and how to increase pull-up strength. One of my goals for this year is to double the amount of strict unbroken pull-ups I can do. If you watched my fitness testing video, you'll know that my current number of strict unbroken pull-ups is 5. The goal I set out for myself is to double that number to 10 strict unbroken pull-ups in the next 30 days. As for whether or not this goal is doable, I really don't know at this point, but in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a pull-up strength building program, follow it consistently for the next 30 days, and test my pull-ups again at the end of it and see how many I'm able to do. Before I get into the plan and what I'm going to do to hopefully double the amount of pull-ups I'm able to do, is let's talk about why I set that as one of my goals. Ever since I started working out when I was younger, I always thought the people who could do strict pull-ups were super impressive. Back when I was in my early 20s and started working out at one of those big global gyms, there was just something very, very impressive about those people you would see at the pull-up bar banging out strict pull-up after strict pull-up after strict pull-up. And really, it was super impressive to watch. You could see them using every muscle in their upper body, and some of them make it look something that's so hard looks so simple. Here's my challenge. I'm fairly tall. I'm 5'8", and when I first grew tall, I grew tall quite quickly. And as part of that, it took me a really long time to build the strength to move my body around and to be able to pull my body around. I was this tall thing with these long arms and just really struggled with being able to gain the strength to do impressive body weight movements like pull-ups. So that's probably why they became one of the things I strive to be able to do. The 5 strict pull-ups I'm able to do right now may look easy when I do them, but let me tell you, it was not an easy road getting here. It took me years and years to be able to get my first strict pull-up. When I was first starting out in the gym, information wasn't available the way it is now. Now you can just go type a phrase into Google and bam, what do you know? Hundreds of how to get your first strict pull-up programs pop up. When I first started training, information wasn't that readily available, and I was young and didn't really have much money, so I wasn't able to hire a trainer to guide me on my journey, so I kind of made things up as I went along. And what I worked on at the time was I worked on doing strict negatives. So I would jump to the top of the bar and lower myself slowly. I would work on banded strict pull-ups. So I'd put a band around the bar and do some pull-ups with that. And the other thing I made use of was the pull-up assist machine at the gym. There was a machine you could go on, put your knees on it, and counterbalance your weight and work on pull-ups. So that was something I did. And really, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just making stuff up as I went, and somehow it worked out and I eventually got there. The other thing about pull-ups is apparently they're harder if you're taller. If you're taller, you tend to have longer limbs, which equals a longer lever length. So you can see I have these super long arms, which means I don't have the same amount of lever strength as someone with short arms. So that's one of my challenges. The other challenge is apparently pull-ups are harder for females. The reason they're harder is because we have less muscle mass in our upper body than males, tend to hold more weight in our lower body. So with the combination of those two things, it takes us a bit more to be able to build pull-up strength. Makes sense. As I was doing some research for this, I found a stat saying if women could do 1 to 3 pull-ups, that was super impressive, and you could do 5 to 9, you were super fit. Stats aside, the main reason I'm focusing on this is it's just something that I find personally challenging, being able to achieve that number of pull-ups. They're a hard exercise to do. I find it takes a lot of mental strength for me to work that into my programming every day and just go do them, because sometimes they can seem really hard to do. When I was first starting out and working towards getting that first pull-up, one of the pieces of advice that really helped was a piece of advice on how to change my mindset. So typically when someone goes to do a pull-up, you think about pulling yourself to the bar, and that can seem like a really hard thing to do. But the piece of advice I was given, instead of thinking about pulling yourself to the bar, think about pulling the bar to you. And for me, this change in mindset was an absolute game changer. I don't know why, but it was. For some reason, thinking about pulling the bar towards me instead of myself towards the bar just changed it. And it's probably because the bar seems like an easy thing to pull, while imagining pulling myself seemed like a whole lot of work. So that little piece of advice was an absolute game changer for me. Now let's go into what a pull-up is. A pull-up is a strength building exercise for the upper body. To perform it, you go hang from a bar, you face your palms away from you, and you start with your body fully extended. Then you pull yourself up until your chin is above the bar, then you lower yourself back down. Seems pretty easy. The thing I like about pull-ups is, one, they look super impressive. Two, they're a great way to build a ton of upper body strength. They are a super effective exercise. Think about it. You're lifting your entire mass, which means doing them can greatly improve your strength. And I'm not just talking about back strength. I'm talking about all over strength. They work everything. They're working all the big muscles in your back, your shoulders, your arms, your abs, legs, everything. So if you're ever on a time crunch, they're one of the most effective exercises you could do. They're also a compound movement, which means they work many muscles. Just like I was talking about before, they work everything. Before I get into the program, let's talk about some of the things you should think about when you're doing a pull-up and what best form and best practices entail. I'm going to take you through some of the things you should focus on when you're working on your pull-ups. These are some best practices you should keep in mind. So one of the best practices you need to think about is hand placement. So when you place your hands on the bar, you don't want to be super high because this can be really hard on your shoulders. The other thing you don't want is you don't want to be super narrow because that changes the focus of the exercise and makes it pull more from your biceps versus your big back muscles. So what you want to do is you want to be shoulder width or just slightly wider than shoulder width apart. So that's our pull-up position. The next thing we're going to talk about is grip on the bar. You want to hold that bar nice and tight. You want to get your hand over as much as you can. You want to wrap your thumb around your fingers to keep them in place. And when we grip, what you want to do is focus on pulling your hands inward. That'll give you a really strong position to pull from. So once we have our hands on the bar, what we want to focus on is engaging our back muscles. So what I'm going to do is focus on squeezing my shoulder blades together as if I'm pinching something between them. And you can see I'm nice and engaged. I don't want to start like that because that puts a lot of stress on my shoulders and back. One way to get good at the positioning is an exercise called scap pull-ups. They work really good for activation before you get started with your pull-ups. So what you do with them is you'll see I let myself go, I engage. I let myself go, I engage. I let myself go, I engage. So that really shows you that starting position you want to be in. One thing you want to do is keep your whole body engaged throughout the whole exercise. One of the things I saw when I was starting out at the gym is you'd see lots of people doing pull-ups like this with their legs behind them. So I thought that was what you're supposed to do. Turns out when your legs are behind you like that, you take your body out of a nice line, you lose efficiency, and it makes it a lot harder. What you want to do is you want to keep your body in a hollow position and a really strong position. So what you want to do is keep your whole body stacked together, arms above, and you'll see I'm in a nice straight line, which will improve my efficiency of the movement. And once I go into that on the bar, you can see I stay there throughout the whole movement. The other thing you should focus on is keeping your body engaged throughout the whole movement. And what I mean by that, the pieces you should watch for is at the top of the movement, I'm going to keep myself in the same position throughout, and at the bottom. At the bottom, I'm going to keep those scaps engaged, and I'm not going to drop my shoulders down because that's hard on them. So what this looks like is, and you see at the bottom, I'm still engaged. The last piece I want to share is visualization. So really with the movement, you want to be using all these really big muscles in your back. So what I do is before I get started, I picture which muscles I'm pulling from. And if you have a training partner, what's really helpful is they can come and actually just put their fingers there lightly on the muscles you should be squeezing. That should help you visualize the muscles you should be using throughout the movement. And the reason you want to be using those muscles is because your back muscles, like your lats, which run down here, are way bigger than something like, say, your bicep or shoulders. You want to make sure you're engaging those really big muscle groups to help you throughout the movement. Let's get into what I'm going to do to increase the number of unbroken pull-ups I can do. Now I'm a little bit older and wiser than when I first started out, so I went and did some researched some different ways to increase pull-up strength and the number of pull-ups you're able to do. As part of this, I found a website called Strong First School of Strength. And on this website, they had a training program that they said would help you increase the number of strict pull-ups you could do. The program is called the Fighter Pull-Up Program. The program consists of doing 5 descending ladders of pull-ups 5 days a week. A descending ladder is when you start with an exercise and the number of reps you do decreases within each set. So the way this would work is for my first set, I would start with my max number of pull-ups. So I would start with 5 pull-ups. Then for my next set, I would descend. So instead of doing 5, I would do 4 for my second set. And then for my third set, I would descend again to 3 pull-ups. And then I would descend again to 2 pull-ups. And then after that set, I would descend once more again to 1 pull-up. That's what a descending ladder is. The idea behind the program I found is to start with an all-out set and then descend your way down on the first day of the program. Then what happens on day 2 is instead of going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you increase the lowest number in the set. So you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, and so on throughout the month. This here is the pull-up program for the month. As you can see, I wrote it out on pieces of paper and hung it up on my gym wall. That way it's always front of mind when I come down to my gym and reminds me of what I need to do each day. For me, it's a really good visual reminder of the program I'm working on. And the bonus is, as I work through each day, I can put a check mark beside it as I complete it. For me, somehow that really works. It makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something each day, no matter how big or small it is. The thing with this program is, so I talked about descending ladders, and you can see how that starts out. So day 1, I would do my max effort pull-ups. So I do 5, then decrease by 1. So 4, 3, 2, 1. And each day throughout the week, the number of reps will increase on one of the pull-ups. And then I'd have an off day. And then you see what happens is, on day 7, the number I start with actually jumps up beyond what my current max was. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see if I'm able to do 6 in a row on day 7. If I'm able to do 6 in a row on day 7, that's actually really exciting for me and shows a fair amount of progress in only 5 days of pull-ups, which is super exciting because really it wasn't that hard of work to do what I did so far. And then you can see on day 13, we're going to start with 7 pull-ups, which will be a new max effort pull-ups again. So we'll see how that goes when I get to day 13. Then day 19, we start with 8. Then eventually on day 29, we start with 9. And that's the one that looks really scary to me, is 9 seems like a lot of strict pull-ups at this point in time. But we'll see how the month goes and how it all works for making me get stronger. And what drew me to this program is, with the research I was doing, a lot of it said pull-ups are a volume exercise. So the more you do, the more strength you'll build. Obviously, you don't want to go into overtraining and doing too much, but you have to work on increasing the volume to get stronger, which is what this program I found is going to allow me to do. And to keep me accountable, I wrote out the program and I hung it up on my gym wall. I find that visual reminder is a really good way for me to stay on track. I also like that it'll let me put a check mark beside each day I finish, and that way I can gauge my progress against each day in the month. Looking ahead to the end of the month, the rep scheme in this program looks a little scary to me right now. If you look at day 29 in the program, you'll see the rep scheme is 9 reps, followed by 9 reps, followed by 8 reps, followed by 7 reps, followed by 6 reps. Which, remember, right now when I'm starting the program, I can only do 5 strict pull-ups. So what I'll accomplish over the month is I'll work through the program, I'll see how it does with building my strength, and I'll document if I'm able to get there. A big thing to keep in mind is don't overthink it. It would be easy to overthink this program and go, oh my goodness, there's no way I'm going to do that many pull-ups on day 29. However, the thing is, you have to trust the process. So I'm going to trust this program, do what it says to do each day, and see what happens as I journey along the next month. And really, what's the worst thing that can happen? I won't be able to do 10 strict unbroken pull-ups, or I might not be able to do the full set of pull-ups one day in the program. So what? I'll just go back down and keep working through it. And if I'm able to do more than 5 strict pull-ups at the end of the month, I've progressed. I may not be at my final goal, but I've made progress towards what I'm trying to achieve. And the other thing is maybe we should just follow the words of Yoda. Do or do not. There's no try. So just get out there, do what you need to do, and see what happens. I look forward to sharing my pull-up journey with you over the next month. I'm going to take some daily videos as I work through the pull-up program, and I'll let you know how it goes. Overall, mastering the pull-up has all kinds of benefits, and it's something I look forward to working on. If you like following these types of journeys, feel free to subscribe to my channel to get notifications when new videos go up, or click like below. Or if you have some kind of fitness goal you're working on, or a pull-up goal maybe, comment below and share what your goal is, and we can all support each other. Thank you for tuning in once again. I look forward to sharing my pull-up journey with you.